Hey everybody, welcome back to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron. Today we're going to be getting back on Project Longstep. I've been working on her all week and haven't really filmed much because I've been doing a lot of the underneath stuff and stuff that's hard to film and stuff that's kind of monotonous and boring. But I've gotten quite a bit done underneath. Got the shift linkage all hooked up, got the parking brake all done. Got the fuel filler neck on. I got all the rear lights wired in, both sides. Fuel filler's in. I don't know how well you can see, but the fuel fill neck's in there. I routed and clamped all the wiring from the back of the truck running forward. And the fuel lines, tranny cooler lines. A lot of stuff. I got a lot of work done. I started working on the throttle cable bracket and the throttle cable for the Holley Sniper. And using that style of bracket, Holley makes a throttle cable or a throttle linkage extension that bolts to the side of the throttle body so the cable works better. And I didn't feel like ordering one. They're like 15 bucks or something and probably take a week or two to get it, and I'm trying to hump and get this thing done, so I just went ahead and made one. It's over there in the paint booth drying, so I'll try to remember to show you that before the end of the video. We have door glass. The door glass is in, regulators are in. I had to get those done before I could finish the vent windows and put those in, because I put the door glass in first. You have to take the vent window out to get the door glass out. But if you remember from the last video about the windows, I said the regulators were wrong. They were the right regulators, they just had the wrong rollers that roll through the channels on them. So I ended up buying new rollers, and I fixed the regulators that I had rather than trying to order new ones and wait for them to come and all that stuff. I was able to go down to the local parts store, get the rollers. They weren't exactly easy to put in. It probably would have been a lot easier to just buy different regulators, but either way, I did it, got it done. And so with all that said, I'm gonna stop talking. We're gonna get going on the vent windows, assemble those, get them ready, and then we'll throw them back in. So here we go. Okay, so before I forget, I'm gonna grab this bracket and the throttle linkage extension bracket that I was telling you about that I made. Show it to you real quick. Sorry, that might have been loud, door was in my way. So this is the bracket that I made. And if you go on Holley and look up the Sniper throttle extension, whatever they call it, looks pretty much exactly the same. Got it all painted up, never know the difference. This comes down here and it bolts on the bottom hole down here, top hole up here, and then it moves your throttle cable attachment all the way up here, which the reason it's like that is because with this bracket, I only get between a third and half throttle if I hook it up here. So by moving it up here, it allows me to get full throttle. So that's the reason they make them. That's Holley's fix to using that style throttle cable bracket and all that. So we made one. I know it probably, if you figure out the time it took me to make it and whatever, it probably would have been cheaper to order it. I understand that, but I made it and had it in the same day. It's ready to go on, and I enjoy fabricating and making stuff, especially if I can make it look as good or better than the original one. It just gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna get on to, this shop is a mess. Trying to get a video done and get it out, and then I'm gonna take a day off and clean. But we're gonna get on reassembling our vent windows. And then once we get them thrown together, we'll throw them at the truck and hope they stick in there. So I've got these are the rear vent channel seal, which is the one that goes at the front of the door glass, top to bottom. This is my seal that goes right in here. And this is my seal that goes in here. So I'm gonna get the regular camera set up instead of this GoPro, and I'll show you guys how I put them together. I've seen a lot of other people do it, and I'm not saying they do it wrong, but they do it different than I do. A lot of people use like soap and water to get this big seal wet to go in here. I personally don't like to do that because it traps moisture in there. I mean, that's a seal to keep moisture out. So if you have it on the inside, it's going to trap the moisture in my thought process. I'm not saying it 100% will do that, but if I put moisture in there and it stays wet and it gets out and it's humid, then it's just going to rot that window channel out. And these are already the old ones to begin with, because we were having trouble trying to find new ones. They're all on back order and everything else right now because of everything. It's hard to get parts right now. You can get them, but you got to look for them, and you got to wait for them, and you pay twice as much for them. And so we're reusing the old ones. They're in decent shape. Got them all cleaned up and painted. They look good. They'll have all new seals in them. They'll essentially be brand new. But I like to put those seals in dry, because like I said, in my thought process, it'll trap moisture behind them if you use anything to lube the seal, and they don't go in that hard. You just got to be careful. So I'm talking a lot. That means we're not getting any work done. So I'm going to get the other camera rolling, and we'll start throwing this vent window together. There goes my back and my knees again. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, take our frame. I'm just going to pull this tape. I taped this little deal where the latch for the vent window goes on, because it's polished aluminum or stainless or something. So I taped it off when I painted it. So I'm just going to pull that off. And this is all cleaned up. I cleaned it up really good before I painted it. So I just want to mention, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. And there's different types of these seals here. This is just the outer part. And then this is the inner part, and this is one style. There's another style that is all one piece. It comes pre-together. And then there is this style, this rear post seal. This one is riveted in. From the factory it was riveted, and this aftermarket replacement I'm putting in is riveted. But they have another style of this that has little tabs that stick out of the back of it, and there's holes in this rear channel, and that just sets in there, and then you bend those tabs over on the inside, which is easier. I'd much rather have that than this rivet style. I already put the other side together, and it's already in the truck. I'll show you that once we get this side all done. But the holes that are in this rear piece didn't line up with the holes here in the channel, so I had to re-drill everything before I riveted it. And you just got to pay attention. I've learned through many years of doing this stuff that a lot of the aftermarket parts that you buy are close, but they're not right. Well, they're right, but you got to do a little bit of extra work to make them fit. So the way I do this is I take my seal and I kind of get it started in here. If you pull these two ears back, the outer and inner seal part, there's like a channel, not a channel, but like a, I don't know, you can see it, whatever you want to call it. And then in here, there's a channel that fits in perfect. So you got to kind of get this started, which at the very top and the very bottom, to be honest, they don't fit very well. But you got to get this started, get it up in there. To get this started in here, up here at the corner, you stick a screwdriver in there, and you don't want to like really pry hard on it or anything, but you just kind of wiggle it a little bit. This piece here is separate from the rest of it, so it'll slide a little bit and kind of open up, and it gives you a little bit more room to get the seal started up in there. And then you got to fight putting it back down once you get it down, but that's okay. So there's this big thick part up here at the very end, and that's probably the hardest part of this whole seal installation, is trying to get that up in there where it's supposed to go. You just kind of cuss under your breath and, you know, all those kind of things, and just get it up in there. And then, once you get that up in there where it goes, I always pull the seal down. Sorry guys, I don't have a good way to film this so you can actually see what I'm doing that well, but once you get it up in there where you think it's all the way in at the top, you want to kind of lay your seal out and make sure that the cutout for the hinge is in the right spot, because if it's not, then it's gonna mess you up. And then I just take a screwdriver, and that little groove, that ridge that I showed you goes in that groove. I stick one side of it in, and then I just take a screwdriver and work the other side up in there. If you lube it up and everything, like I said, I recommend not doing. You can just kind of push on it and it slides in, but I don't like doing that like I explained. So we just get it started up in there and then just work it in with a screwdriver. It's not that hard, it goes in pretty easily. And I'll show you here once I get it pretty close to all the way, but once you get it up in there, then you can just kind of push on it and it seats itself. So we got that first little run done, and then it's got a gap where the, well, I guess it doesn't have a gap. But anyways, you can kind of push it up in there. Kind of put your fingers inside the seal there, push up on it and make sure it's locked in there all the way, and then we'll do the same thing for the rest of it. Just like any other rubber seal, you want to make sure you work it in. You don't want to like pull and stretch on it, because then it'll get stretched out and it'll be too long and it won't fit and all that kind of stuff. So you just want to kind of let it lay where it lays and then work it into its spot. Alright, I'm going to finish getting this in. It's the same thing all the rest of the way around. And then I'll catch back up with you in a few minutes. Alright, well, I thought that I had gotten the camera restarted after I got the seal put on. But apparently it didn't, because when I went to shut it back off after I told you guys a whole bunch of stuff, it wasn't on. Anyways, I got this outer seal in. This inner seal that goes along this channel, it slides into the seal, the main seal at the top and the bottom, and you got to make sure you get it in there good so that it fits in with them, and then that you get it adjusted right. So I got this in there and I got it laying down where I want it, and down here where the original rivets were, just like on the other side that I already did, they don't line up. So I already drilled this before I realized the camera wasn't on. But I drilled just one, and then I'll put my rivet in. I'm just using regular 1/8 inch aluminum rivets. They had brads in them originally, and you can use brads, but I found this works fine, and I'm going backwards. I'm going to put the rivet in from this side so that it doesn't hit the window. So, take my rivet, put it in there. Like so. And then we got our rivet in there holding that in place. And then we'll just work our way down here, do the same thing the rest of the way down. I'm going to go ahead and finish riveting this, and then we'll move on. Okay, we got that all riveted in. You can see the rivets running down there. It's all set right. My gasket's in pretty good all the way around. Next thing we're going to do is take our new glass. So we got new glass and new frames. I think I told y'all that before. If you're new to the channel, you don't know that, but we got new glass, new new glass frames, and the vent windows are the originals out of the truck. And these windows come with a new spring, new nut, new lock washer, everything. There is a part 1 of this video, if you haven't seen it yet, that shows me taking these all apart. And if you're watching this to find out how to put these windows back together, you might want to watch that other video first to find out how to take them apart. So we're just going to take this off. Got all our washers, spring, everything. And they really hammered that down on there, it doesn't want to come off. Really doesn't want to come off. There we go. Alright. Now, try to get this where you guys can see it. So, we're going to take our window, and there's a hole down in the rubber. And once it starts to go through, then you have to put that washer with the big flat ear on it and the other washer on there. These are really tight going in to begin with, and then those washers go on there and kind of stick on. That one washer really on there. So pushed it in a little too far. Push it back out and get our other gasket, our other little plastic washer in there, Teflon, nylon, whatever it is. And then glass is in most of the way, little washers in there. Next thing we're going to do is flat washer, spring, and then you got a washer that's got the, it's only half round, got the grooves cut out in it to lock down on there. We're going to do that. We got our little locking thing to lock the nut down, and then we got our nut. So I'm gonna get all that on here. I'm not gonna put any spring tension on this nut yet. I'm gonna just snug it down to where the spring is not bouncing around, and I'll tell you why in just a second. It's still not all that snug. It doesn't have to be snug, but okay, that's snug. Now, your hinge here, you got your piece that's on the frame, and then you got your piece that's on the frame for the vent window itself. The vent window goes underneath the one that's on the frame, and then that's held together by this. It's called a brad. It's a different style of rivet, and you just push this through here, and then on the what I'd call the head side of it, it's going to go on top because that's what you're going to see most of the time when you look at it, and then it's going to stick through, and you put this against something solid, and then there's a little tool, and you basically hammer that other end of that brad, and it flattens it off, and it spreads the whole brad out and makes it taut in the holes, and it makes it like basically like a rivet edge on the other side, so the brad can't come out. So I'm going to move over to the vise over there, and we're going to seat that brad. Okay, this is a homemade brad punch. I made this one myself, but this is basically what it is. And you take that brad, and it's really hard to do on these windows because it's hard to hold it, but you set that brad against something solid that's not going to move, and then you take your punch. I'm going to try to stay out of your guys' way so you can see what I'm doing, but at the same time I got to get it done. So ooh, that could have been real bad. Caught it. Didn't scratch nothing. And that brad's in there nice and tight, so. Well, maybe not. Still moving a little bit. It really takes a good solid whack on it, and it's hard to get one, especially the way I'm doing it here. Okay, now we got her nice and tight down in there. So that's how you do that. Once again, this has got to be one of my least favorite things to do. rebuilding these is kind of a pain, but you do what you gotta do. So we're gonna go over and put the window latch in it, and then we'll put it on the truck. Last thing we're gonna do here is put the latch mechanism on. Get all the pieces out here. It comes with black and chrome buttons for the outside of the window. Since everything else we're doing on the truck shiny, we're going to go with the chrome one. So you got your button, and then there's a rubber gasket. Actually, there's a plastic washer. There's two different ones. I want to make sure you use the right one. So, okay. That one doesn't fit that good. And okay, so we're going to take the rubber washer and put it down on here. And then we're going to take our button, backwards. We're going to go through the window like so. Remember, we got the rubber gasket on the outside, the button side. Then we're going to take our plastic washer here, and it's going to go on the inside. And then there's a spring ring, whatever you want to call it. So then you take this piece, it's made to fit the button right. Actually, this spring piece doesn't go on there yet, I'm sorry. This is going to go on here. You got a screw. It goes down in there. Tighten that down. And then spring, button. This goes down on here, and there's a groove. It has to sit in that groove. And then you got your handle. There's a groove down inside the handle too, and that'll line up on here. So I'm going to the spring washer goes on now. Goes around this. Man, guys, I'm just struggling today. I never have this much problem with these things. I guess it's just one of those days. It's definitely a Monday. There we go. Okay, that's on. Gonna put our button in here, get it in its groove, put our spring down in the button, and then slide this on here. And you gotta make sure it's in its groove. And then there's a roll pin, and it's gonna go down in this little spot here. Sometimes it's easier if you get it started before you start putting this on. Okay, now we'll start over again. My spring and my button. Put all that together. And then put this in here. Got to push down against that spring washer. And then when you start putting that in, you don't want to put it all the way in, because you can put this on wrong. So we want to check it first. Make sure our window closes like it's supposed to, which it does. Our button's locked when it's closed, so we know that's right. So now we'll go ahead and tap that down so far with the hammer, and then you got to get a punch and finish it. You want to make sure you drive that in so it's all the way flush. Like so. And then we're going to take and tighten up this spring. You don't want it to be tight, you just want there to be a little resistance on it when you open and close the window. Because if you don't have tension on this spring, if you got these trucks and you got an old one, and you probably come across this before, but when you open up the vent window and you're going down the road and the wind blows the window shut, that's this spring here. If it's not loaded enough, it'll just let the window close on its own. If it's loaded too much, it'll make it really hard to open and close it. So it's a fine medium. I got it really close now. Just going to put a little extra on it because as you use it, it's going to wear in. So just throw a little extra on there. Make sure that your tabs that bend over on the nut are on a flat spot on the nut, and then you just take whatever works for you and bend those over to lock that nut in place. Okay, so That's it. I'm going to switch cameras real quick and I'll show you guys this whole thing as one. This camera's got a close-up lens. It doesn't work that good, so hang on a second. Here it is. Our vent windows all assembled, rebuilt, all new seals, new latch, new glass, everything. So we're at that point now. Take it over and put it in the truck. I'll show you guys that process here real quick too. Couple of pointers before we get into that. You have your rear window track here, and it bolts in this hole right here. Whenever I'm doing the vent windows, I always loosen that, unbolt that, and you can push that track back and slide your, you can push the track back and slide your window back, which gives you more room up front to put that vent window in without scratching your window. And so that's pretty much it. So I'll get set up and we'll slap this vent window back in the truck. Okay, so we're ready to put our window in, our vent window in. A lot of people I've seen think that this gasket's supposed to fold out and go on the outside of the door frame here, and it's not. It's supposed to tuck together and go on the inside. So you got your big mounting flange down here. So you want to kind of slowly ease that down in past your window glass, and then you can turn it. These are a pain in the butt sometimes too. Camera cut out on me and I didn't realize it, but you just got to kind of wrestle with it and it'll finally get up in there where it needs to be. I got this top screw started. Go ahead and put my bottom screw in here. Make sure your gasket's in there where it needs to be. Okay, vent windows all in. Next thing we're going to do is put our outer window filter on. I shouldn't say the vent window is all the way in. We haven't attached it at the bottom yet, but I'm going to go over that here in a second. So, get our felt all lined up here. Pop it into place like so. I still have my regulator loose. Well, I didn't film putting the windows in, but I've only got 2 bolts in my regulator and they're both loose. That way I can still kind of adjust everything and move it around. So I need to make sure that the window, oh crap, I forgot to do something. I forgot to put the felt in that goes right here. Hopefully I can get it in with the window in and don't have to take it back out again. Okay, I'm not doing very good this video. This stuff is frustrating to me, but I was able to get that felt in. And now I'm going to go ahead and bolt the bottom of the vent window into the door. And then I can go ahead and put my track back here back on. Alright. When I put the, I don't know how well you guys can see it. When I put the windows on, I lubed up these channels really good with white lithium grease where the rollers go in. Because for one thing you want them lubed, but second, when you got all brand new seals and felts and everything else, the windows are can be kind of hard to crank. So anything you can do to help it out is beneficial. So I just put some white lithium grease in there to lube those up. And the window actually goes up and down pretty good. Seals up good. All my seals are good. So the window installation is done. I have every window in this truck. So let me clean up my stuff a little bit and we'll go over some more. A little bit more of a close-up on everything. This is the bolt for your rear channel that I was talking about taking loose so you can slide the window back. These two bolts here are the bottom bolts for your vent window post. Obviously you got your window crank. I still got to put bolts in here and tighten this up. That's no big deal. But all the windows are in. I'll walk over and show you guys the other side. I did it first. It's been a while since I did them, and I just wanted to make sure that I remembered how to do it. I knew I remembered how to do it, but I wanted to go through it before I did it for you guys. So as you can see, even though I did this one first, it still wasn't a, oh, look how easy this is, pop it in. No, it doesn't work that way. Anytime you're dealing with aftermarket parts and all new aftermarket seals, it's usually a pain in the butt. Nothing is perfect. And these old trucks, they've been around the block a few times. Everything's kind of flexed and twisted and whatever else, and they're not perfect either. So even if the aftermarket stuff was made perfect, it still doesn't always necessarily go together easy. But I'm just cleaning up the windows a little bit. Get some of my greasy fingerprints off. I'm about to come back with a razor blade at some point or another and clean up some of the glue and stuff that's still on them. But for today, I'm just wiping them down. So, and I'm all out of my good glass cleaner that I usually like to use. And I haven't gone and bought any more, so we're using some whatever that crap is. Shouldn't call it crap. It works really good to clean parts before you paint them. Like really good. It's non-silicone. Yeah, when you get done sanding and cleaning and everything else, I always wipe it down with that, let it dry, and it does a really good job. You can paint right on it and it doesn't usually fish eye or anything like that. So what? Main reason I'm wiping these windows down is because the owner of the truck is really excited about the brand new, all clear, ready to go glass. So Just wiping them down so they look good, not all fingerprinted up and nasty. But I guess there ain't really no point in you guys sitting here watching me wash windows, so, and rambling and talking and rambling. So that's gonna do it for this video. We made more progress on Longstep. I'm excited about that. I've got a little bit more wiring to do on the inside. I got 2 or 3 wires for the vintage air I still have to hook up, and I have to wire in the Halifax sensor for the digital gauge for the speedometer. I got to run it from the transmission up to the cluster harness. I have to wire in the kickdown solenoid for the Turbo 400. That's it. Everything else inside's wired, so I just got to wire those couple wires in, hook them up, and then most likely the next video on Longstep, we're going to be putting the interior in this thing, and I'm excited about that. Project Dirty's coming along good. The new carpet for it came in. It's not installed by any means. I just got it laid in there because it was all rolled up in the box, and I laid it out in there so it can kind of start forming, finding its home. I'm pretty sure I already showed you guys the new seat for it, and we got a brand new aftermarket dash pad. So Dirty's coming along too. There'll be another video on that coming soon. So if you're new to the channel and don't know what Longstep and Dirty are, go back and check out some of the older videos. There's step-by-step videos on everything I've done to them, and there'll be a couple more videos to finish them. Dirty's getting really close. I gotta put the headlights, horns, and grill back in. I have to set the timing and tune the carburetor and put the interior in, so that's not a huge ordeal. And even Longstep's getting close. I still have to do all the underhood wiring. I haven't done any of it yet, but other than the underhood wiring and the interior, there's not a whole lot left. She's getting there. I got to put sway bar in. There's a couple things about the truck that we've done already that the owner didn't care for, and it wasn't the work, it was the parts. He doesn't like the way it looks. Like these, they got these, I didn't get them, they got them, but these fancy heater hoses and radiator hoses and stuff, and he doesn't like those, so we're taking those back off and switching them over to something else. I gotta do that. I gotta put a sway bar on it, which is no big deal. Factory sway bar will bolt right on it. The interior, finish wiring the engine compartment, and I think the whole Longstep's gonna be done. She's gonna go down the road to get an exhaust system. The owner's got a friend that does exhaust, so it's gonna go down there and get an exhaust system put on it. And then it needs an alignment. But other than that, so here very soon we should have a first startup video on that, and that's going to be very exciting for me because I've put a lot of work into that truck and spent a lot of long days on it. So it's turning out to be a really cool looking truck. I really like it, but I will be glad to see it go. So next video on Longstep is going to be the interior. Later this week or next week we will have a video on Dirty, and we're just going to go through the list of things I said need to be done to it, and we'll see how far we get. We might darn near get it finished up in this video, and it might be 3 more videos. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But I appreciate everybody for watching. You guys are awesome. I don't know what else to say. I didn't think I'd ever be able to stand in front of the camera and talk to it, but been doing it for over a year now, and it's fun to me. I enjoy doing it. So I hope you guys enjoy watching. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment. I read them all. I answer them all. That's pretty much it. So that's going to do it. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.